Good evening, all you creatures of the night. This is Matt Johnson here, and I'm coming at you before the full-length episode here starts, just to give you a quick plug of our recent episode coming out on Halloween. We will be releasing an episode this October the 31st, where all of us discuss the latest Halloween movie, the 2018 by David Gordon Green, written by Danny McBride, starring Jamie Lee Curtis again, and John Carpenter doing the score. We all went out and saw it and did a full-length episode, and we will be releasing that on Halloween. So please stay tuned. I know we've been doing an episode a day, Halloween horror, but on that day we'll give you a full-length episode reviewing the latest Halloween movie in the franchise. All right, back to the show. The clock reads 3:15 a.m. The house is still. The kids are put in bed, and you are fast asleep in your new home near the river. You hear a commotion, a soft rustling across the hall. You slide out of the bed to see what is the matter. So when you enter the room, a swarm of flies are buzzing around a window, and a crucifix on the wall is now turned upside down. A large crash comes from downstairs. You race down the steps to see the front door burst open, and the basement door is knocked from its hinges. You peer down the stairwell. A cold draft runs up your spine, and a soft red glow radiates from beneath the stairs. This is It Records. Welcome, all you creatures of the night, to the It Records podcast. I am one of your hosts here, as always, Matt Johnson.
I don't know why that made me laugh. Trying to hog all the spotlight because you think you're hot shit because you got your own segment for the whole month.
Damn, Peter.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I am. I've been pretty religious
It's
about
been good.
that.
It's been good.
Halloween horror. Yeah. Except for that 4 or 5 day hiatus, but for the most part.
Good reason you had your appendix ripped out of your body.
Yeah. Nothing stops the podcast, though.
It always records.
Yeah. Yeah, right? That would have been good. I should have had some pre-recorded and just ready to go.
Just like, what?
Like to release on a time.
Who was doing it? It.
Perfect. Damn, perfect opportunity. What was I thinking?
Fucked up.
I did. And so did my appendix, but...
It just pooped out of your body.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how the surgery works.
But anyways, back to something not as exciting as you're getting your appendix ripped out.
Right. This week, we did a 1979 film. I'll leave you with that. But before I go there, I was just wondering if, Pete, you might have had a creepy headline that you wanted to discuss at all before going into this movie.
I can't find it.
Okay.
But it was the true story, or true in quotation marks, of the real Amityville Horror story. And basically, I'll give you a recap of what it said. Everything it said is everything we knew that happened in the movie. So the movie followed the story pretty good. So I would imagine it was from the book. And then I think the most interesting little information they had was that the killer, the original killer that killed this family, claimed to hear voices like they said in the movie, but then he changed his story. So he's just it kind of creates more falsehood behind this family story, because the dad was kind of into the occult, and they kind of made a little reference to that in the movie, oh, you changed your religion for her. I was like, what does that mean? That was the gist of the story. Was not really intriguing. It was just as it's basically just seeing a recap of the movie.
Yeah, it really did. I guess the real life event was pretty almost scene for scene. I haven't read the book per se, which it's based on, but it seems very faithful to the original story, to the T.
And didn't it they went on like talk shows, didn't they? Like in the 70s, they went like, I don't know if they went on, oh god, what's his name? Jimmy, no. What's his name?
I think it's the Late Night Show?
The old Tonight
Johnny
Show.
Carson.
Yeah, with the old Johnny
think
Carson.
They tried to make a little bit of a career out of it.
Yeah.
Little 15 minutes in limelight.
It seemed like. I mean, not only with, I don't know if the story's true or not, but there's like 7 sequels. I feel like they tried to cash in on this event as much as they could. Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they don't get that money, do they?
I'd have to look into it. I'm sure they get a lot from the book and from the first movie, because the book is based on. The first movie is based on the book, which is theirs. But I think they probably have to sell some of the rights to the studios, because it's still using the characters or using the story from the original. So it might not be like the whole pie per se, but you get some royalties for it.
They get some dividends.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of house they don't build anymore. A relic of a time when the world wasn't in such a hurry, when there was still time for a little charm and elegance. It has stood empty for a long while, and at the price, it is a bargain. For a growing young family, it is almost too good to be true.
What do you think?
I love it.
James Brolin, Margot Kidder, Rod Steiger in the Amityville Horror.
God's peace in this house.
Get out!
Hello?
Hello, Kathy? Father Delaney, there's something very important.
Mommy, I want to go home.
What do you want from us?
What's all going on? We have to do something.
I'm coming apart! Oh, Mother of God, I'm coming apart!
28 days after the Lutz family moved into their dream house, they were running for their lives. What happened to them is an experience in terror you will never forget, and you will believe in the Amityville Horror. From the best-selling book that made millions believe in the unbelievable, the Amityville Horror.
So, the way to describe this movie to someone who hasn't seen it, I just feel like it's a lot of stuff that happens. There's a lot of ghostly stuff. He sees some things, he gets angry, and then they leave.
Yeah, and a very
Sounds
anticlimactic
about right.
ending.
Yeah, we're talking about James Brolin here, the father of Thanos,
Yeah.
the one and only Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
And then you got Lois Lane in the other corner, Margot Kidder, who is also one of another movies that we did, Black Christmas.
That's right.
So that's pretty cool to see her again.
Yeah.
Then you had a bunch of twins, I think, that were up to shenanigans that we didn't really see a whole lot
You're
of.
talking about the boys? The two sons?
Yeah, they're just like, who like reeled a fish on their sister who was like talking to a ghost.
Yeah. Jody the ghost, yeah.
What kind of name is Jody for a ghost? I feel like it's got to be like an older name, like Agatha or something. Or like, I don't know. I can't think of ghostly names.
Jody seemed pretty modern, I feel like, for that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, I don't know.
It was the year before.
Yeah.
It was like, it was probably like the youngest from the year before, because they only moved. It was like not even a year.
Yeah.
They moved in that house. They're like, they bought it super reduced price, $80,000 for 1970 whatever money.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot. I don't know. I don't have $80,000.
To drop at a lakeside house.
A haunted lakeside house.
That's true.
He has a boat. He does have a boat and his own business that I couldn't tell you what it is.
No, I couldn't either.
He has a van.
Yeah.
And then he has to do payroll because he got in trouble for not doing payroll.
But couldn't tell you how he makes that money. But he owns the business.
I would feel like it's a physical labor job because that's why you would have a van that has your logo on it.
Yeah.
I don't know, like a lumber thing. I don't know. He seemed to be knowing a lot about lumber since he was chopping it.
I was
He's
getting that
chopping wood
vibe
all
from
day.
him as well.
What was
I
that,
was
Lindsay?
getting that similar kind of vibe from him. So it's a safe assumption.
He seemed good with his hands. I don't know. He seemed like an outdoors guy.
Yeah, he even fucking hit his wife like a jerk.
Several times.
And then, you remember later in the movie, he's like, I would never hurt you. I'm like, you fucking liar. You just smacked her in the face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like an abuser would say, I would never hurt you, and then do it anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in the end, I think we're supposed to sympathize with him. Well, all of them, because they leave the house.
Yeah,
I'm never sure, like, when he was possessed, or if he wasn't possessed at times.
it seemed like he was like in process of being possessed because he just looked not well the entire time. He was always cold.
Mm-hmm.
And he fell, and I mean at the end of the movie, like, he fell in that like pool of blood, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck was going on with that other dimension to hell or whatever, I guess what it was implying. But he saw his like reflection of himself because he looks like the killer for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that angle at all. They're like, oh, a year ago I could have sworn you're the same guy at the bar. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, they tried to make it seem that connection didn't need to be made. I feel like if the house is haunted or something, some supernatural element lives there, you didn't need to have the person look like the past killer who lived there. It could have just been like, there are spirits here, they're evil.
They even show the news article when she's going through it, and it looked exactly like her husband. I'm like, why are you doing this right now? I'm very confused.
And just have the evil spirits possess whoever lives there, and they must kill or something, or drives them crazy.
The evil stepfather.
Yeah, the old cliche.
I wonder when that started. Because there's those stepfather movies from like the 80s.
Yeah, but there's always been the evil stepmother.
Yes.
Forever in like fairy tales
It's
and
like Cinderella.
That's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like Snow White
That's a
and
good
stuff.
point.
So it's always kind of the other, which is something with like, you know, horror, or it's unfamiliar to your comfortability, and this person's coming in. So you could easily make that as an ominous presence: the stepmother, the stepfather.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but I think the stepfather is more modern, I guess.
That's exactly what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, stepmother has more of like you said, like a fairy tale kind of like angle to it, where like stepfather kind of brings it into like a physical like threatening way, because like it usually like involves children, and of course like a grown-ass man's gonna be over to overpower them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially Thanos' dad. So
Yeah, he's even stronger than a snap of a finger. So
yeah, and I'll bring this up when he chops a lot of wood in this movie, but when he tries to chop down the door where the kids are in, earlier in this movie, I had the idea that I was like, oh, this is like from The Shining. But I think as we discussed,
I remember
The
that.
Shining came out a year after this movie.
Yeah.
And the books came out the same year. The Shining by Stephen King came out in 1977. And Amityville Horror book came out in 1977.
And it's weird because, like, I think in the book, he actually doesn't even have an axe. He has a mallet.
In what's The Shining?
In The Shining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess Kubrick, he plagiarized Amityville Horror and took the axe.
I think that's the main message here.
I mean, he made a better movie, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just taking shots of Amityville Horror because it's just, like, boring. And just stuff happening that didn't make sense. And then, like, I thought he was seeing, like, a cat, but then you pointed out that it was, like, a pig.
Yeah, it's Jody.
It's Jody? Why a pig? I don't get that.
Apparently that's from what the daughter saw.
The book.
Yeah, like the real events was the daughter saw or talked to Jody, but nobody saw Jody, who was this ghost.
Yeah.
But then the father looked up into the window and saw the pig or whatever, and that was Jody. That's the embodiment of Jody, is this weird, like, demonic pig thing.
I wonder if pig has, like, something to do with the occult. Like, has an occult, like, symbol or something. I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
Good, I don't know.
And then there's that infamous scene that I think with the priest, like, trying to bless the house with the flies. You briefly brought that up earlier, but it made me think of Scary Movie 2. Because they parody that while the priest is taking a shit in Scary Movie 2. And then when I finally see this movie, I'm like, oh, this is the movie that's from. Because I always assumed it was from The Exorcist, because the whole beginning of Scary Movie 2 is making fun of The Exorcist, except for that one scene. And then I was like, oh, yeah, that's this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it speaks to, like, I guess the horror movies of that same era. Like, 73 was The Exorcist, this is 79. But, like, The Omen came out in that period. All those really, like, haunted house, demonic possession, religious type films that are, I wouldn't say too crazy pop, but, like, kind of like The Conjuring, or they're in that same subgenre right now.
No, yeah, there's definitely, like, a tired factor that horror genre has seen. Like, before Halloween came out and established the slasher genre, like, it was all, like, possessions and, like, demons and ghosts, and people were getting, like, really tired of that. Because there's just, like, so many. I mean, and, like Rosemary's Baby, like, we talked about, that came out, like, a decade before this, and there was stuff even going further, like, in the 50s. Like, I think you recommended The Bad Seed, which has kind of got, like, similar elements.
Yeah.
So you're going back, like, you're talking about, like, 30 years of horror doing almost the same thing.
Yeah, it's true. And just a small different variation. I would mention, as a plus of this film, is the score, which I don't think really gets talked about a lot in terms of horror. It's not the best, but it is, I think, a good horror score. It has those kind of, like, lullaby-ish sounds to it, similar to, like, how The Exorcist has those kind of faint hints of that as well, and gets that just eerie, ominous feeling.
Yeah. Like, this movie succeeded at that and making the house look creepy. Like, the house generally looked creepy because it, like, made it look like it had a face. And then, but, like, that's really the only upside. And he just had, like, weird characters. Like, the wife of his best friend was like, I don't go in there. I'm a tune to this kind of thing. And I'm just like, this movie lost me, like, a long time ago. And you got, like, a fucking, like, whodunit angle with the detective who doesn't do anything.
Oh,
like,
talk about the most
like,
useless
it was like
character.
Who, I don't even know if it was just, like, trying to be noir like or a detective movie. It was very strange. And, like, you even saw it a little bit in the beginning when, after the murders happened, like, the two police are like, oh, what are you doing here, Sarge? And then he says some like crazy like comment that I can't remember.
Yeah. I think they were just trying to be too faithful to the book and like get everything in there. And I'm sure there was like the police officer who did the investigation, and then there was the priest who tried to bless the house, and there was the family, and they just tried to all jam it into this movie, which is like 2 hours long as well. I think it's like just under.
It's a long ghost movie.
And so they were just like trying to make sure they got all the details, and some of the stuff didn't fully develop, like the police officers B plot or C plot, really, because the priest is the B plot.
Yeah, who goes blind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, what happened to the young priest? Do we know what happened to him?
The last we saw him was when the priest was down by, like, under the bridge or whatever, and he wasn't really talking to him, and the cop was like, hey, do you know anything about Father, whatever? He was like, nope, don't know anything. And then he kind of, like, walked off. I think that's the last time we saw the young priest.
Was there a nun, too?
It's very
that
weird.
was involved?
Oh, yeah, that was, that's Margot Kiddo's, like, aunt.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I totally forgot. I forgot about her. Like, she gets sick in the house. She had to leave. And then you don't really see her after that. Like, it was weird because they were supposed to have, like, family over. And then they go to a wedding for...
Her brother.
Her brother, yeah. And then they lose the money. But, like... And that didn't really turn out to anything.
Yeah. It just showed George being more of a bully.
Yeah.
Sick.
Trying to make him more into a villain that didn't, like, have a payoff.
Because there was never that moment, with him at least, where, he hit Margot Kidder and, like, he seemed like he was, like, losing it from time to time. Just from being in the house and, like, work. Where I was waiting for that shining moment where it's like, oh, he snapped. And, like, there was going to be this big ending with, like, this ghost house. But it kind of seemed like he snapped out of that right as the climax was happening. And he's like, let's get out of here. And they just, like, walked out the front door. I was like, okay. That's it. Safe. I do think, and this is a side tangent, that it's interesting, around the same period as Rosemary's Baby and Amityville Horror, 2 adaptations, 2 very different critical successes in terms of, I guess, in the horror genre. Rosemary's Baby is regarded as a very great horror film. This one's more of a cult favorite in the series is. And they're both...
This one was at least financially successful.
That's true. This one was, I think, is still, or it was at least, the highest grossing independent film, even over Halloween in 78.
Wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah.
I thought Blair Witch beat that.
It might have, but I just know for the time and for a while, this one was.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, like, Blair Witch comes to mind, and Paranormal Activity also comes to mind, because those movies made a shit ton of money for, like, no budget.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think I really have anything else to say about this movie, because there's not a whole lot going on. Just, like, I mean, there is stuff going on, but you just can't really, like, figure out what it's really about, because it's just, like, it's, like, basing off real accounts, in quotation marks, from this family, the Lutz family, and it seems like just, like, emulating their, like, accounts, like, up there on the screen, and then you can't really, like, make out, like, if it makes any sense, because I feel like if you just made, like, a normal paranormal movie, it would make more sense, because they, like, try and, like, tie it in better, but this is based off, like, observations that it, like, like, it can't really be explained, because, like, paranormal stuff can't be explained, at least, like, to the people who, like, believe in that stuff. Yeah. Like, it just, like, it's like their psyche, like, fucking with them or whatever.
No, that's very true, and I think that goes with why in the history of horror films, like, The Shining is seen as a better kind of haunted house one than this, where it's those elements of, if you believe in the paranormal, it's scary, but it's got to be also, is the psyche breaking in that distinction between reality and like what's supernatural. And I think what Kubrick does really well is you don't ever really know if he's possessed or something, and it always just kind of feels like that the whole Overlook Hotel is in paranoia all the time, and you just constantly feel that atmosphere. With this one, there's so many breaks, and they leave the house so often that tension gets broke, and then you have to go back to the house and rebuild it all again. So I think that kind of like downplays why it's scary. But that reach of that house, though, can apparently reach the priest at his church miles and miles away, or over the phone. So that's something.
Or when they're driving.
Yeah,
so it had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So that means I destroyed this movie because it's just going right into it because I thought it sucked. I think you said it, Matt, that like there's no payoff to this movie. Kind of just like ends abruptly, which is like fine for certain movies, but this didn't work out for this movie because there was so much buildup, and then it's like, oh, they left all their stuff there. That's it.
Yeah, and they never returned again.
Yeah, no one dies, which is fine. You don't have to have like deaths. You don't
body
have to,
count.
you don't have to have deaths in a movie to have a good movie. But like, there's almost like no stakes in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, I guess the priest getting blind, but I don't know.
But that's somebody outside.
He gets sent off to somewhere nice.
That's somebody outside of the family. That's not even our main characters. So
Yeah, I'll mention some of the sequels and spin-offs, I guess, if you will, because that's something we've done in the past. We have the Amityville Horror in '79, Amityville 2: The Possession in '82. Following year in '83, you have Amityville 3D, which was like a staple for, I feel like, the third movie in any '80s horror series back in the day was to make it called 3D. Amityville 4 is The Evil Escapes in '89, Amityville Curse in '90, Amityville 1992, It's About Time in 1992, Amityville A New Generation '93, Amityville Dollhouse '96, Amityville Horror 2005, Amityville The Awakening 2017. October 28th, almost a year ago today.
are you
Amityville.
serious?
That's all. And I did not mention... No, I did. I did mention the remake. Yeah, that's all of them.
Yeah, the one with Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Those
my
George Lucas.
god! How could a movie this bad live such a long, 9 lives, times 10?
It's got more than 9 lives. It just keeps on going. I feel like it doesn't make that much money either.
No.
Like, I didn't hear anything about that remake or whatever the hell that was in last year. Didn't hear anything
It
about
had
it.
limited theatrical release. The Ryan Reynolds ones had a theatrical release. That one was pretty big, or had enough marketing behind it. But
Yeah,
the
it
one
did.
after 3D, which was Amityville 4 through 5, 6, 7, and 8, 4 of those were direct-to-video, and 1 was a TV film.
Oh god.
I'm starting to understand a little bit more.
And some of them are still hard to find. They're only on VHS.
That's fine. They could stay there. They could be in some weirdo's collection for all I care. He just has it's all in his basement, and he has a mustache.
Yeah. He's probably a
He's a man
huge
cave
fan.
for sure.
He loves the series. I'm going to destroy Amityville Horror. I feel like it's been a while since I've destroyed a film. I used to do it quite often, but I'm gonna bring it back. Yeah, I mean, I know people might be familiar with this movie in the horror genre, but going back and watching it, a lot of things you mentioned, the pacing was kind of off. The storyline didn't really run really well together. I wanted more of an ending, more of that build-up, more scare. And I kind of got that feeling of, as I mentioned, other movies at the time that I might have liked better, like The Shining or The Exorcist. It has that, or The Omen. Yeah, it has those haunted house, supernatural feelings that are done just a little better. I will give it that I thought the score was really well. And I thought they did a really good job, at least of making the house look ominous. Like those angry eye windows. Yeah, that was a really nice touch. But on the whole, I would destroy the Amityville Horror.
Well, I'm not just saying this because Matt said it. I, like, had my opinion, previously. But, I'm with you on the defend, or the destroy, actually, because you didn't defend it. I felt like it lasted too long, and it felt like homework, even though I was the one that picked the movie. And overall, all I have to say, like, it's probably going to be a thumbs down from me. Like, I think there were some good parts, there were some good elements, but it was kind of just too all over the place. So yeah, solid destroy.
Well, that's a unanimous destroy from us over here at the It Records podcast. Get at us. We are on social media. Let us know what you're thinking, and we'll probably get a blog post out soon. I'll be resting up because of my recent surgery, so I'll have time to do things. But until next time, I'm Matt Johnson, wandering in the shadows.
I'm Lindsay Clark. Bye.
I'm Peter, and I'm taking a tagline of this movie saying, get out and get out of watching this movie.